I'm going to take our viewers live to the Liberal leader conceding defeat in the ACT.
Tough campaign in a tough year. 2020 has seen bushfires, hail, COVID, and of course an ACT election. I can confirm that I have called Andrew Barr and I have congratulated him on the campaign that he ran, because by all accounts it is highly likely that we have seen the return of a Labor Greens government. I wish him and his team and his husband Anthony all the very best for the future. Of course, so many people worked so hard to win government tonight. Of course, it has turned out that it is not to be. I want to thank the wonderful team of candidates that we have right across the ACT. You have all done an extraordinary job in extraordinary circumstances. To the team of MLAs that have fought so hard to hold this government to account and to represent the forgotten people of Canberra, I thank you so much for all that you've done over the last 4 years. I particularly want to thank all the families of the MLAs and the candidates who often ride this journey tougher than the candidate themselves. As MLAs and candidates, we at least have the opportunity to have a voice. But for the candidates' families, it is often very, very lonely. I thank you for the support that you've given us along the way. I particularly want to thank the Deputy Leader of the Canberra Liberals, Nicole Lauder, for all that you've done for the Canberra Liberals over the last 4 years. Nicole has been a tower of strength for me, and she represents Brindabella with distinction. And I congratulate you on your result tonight, Nicole. There are still many votes to be counted and many, many votes to be distributed. The preferences will, of course, determine the makeup of the next Assembly. The preferences, of course, from all the votes cast today, as well as the paper votes cast at pre-poll, are still to be counted. So there is still considerable hope that our seat count will grow even further. I want to thank John Ciesler and the Management Committee for all that you've done to steer us through this time. I particularly want to thank Josh Manawatu for all that he has done to run the most professional Liberal Party campaign we've ever seen. The campaign was next level in terms of professionalism. It was a positive campaign where we outlined a clear alternative for Canberra. Of course, we suffered pretty considerable attacks throughout this campaign. And that's tough, but not to be unexpected. I want to thank the wonderful staff at the Legislative Assembly, but particularly the staff in my office. To Steve, David, Deborah, Azealia, Sarah, Ollie, Emily, Coffee and Joel, thank you so much for your loyalty, your support, your advice your expertise, your experience, and your commitment to the cause. And I am, of course, eternally grateful for the extraordinary support that I've received from Yasmin and my kids Angus and Annabelle. To be a parent in politics has its ups and downs, but to Yasmin, thank you so much for all that you have done to keep me relatively sane, and of course for all that you do in raising our two beautiful kids. I also want to thank my parents, Bruce and Barbara, and my parents-in-law, Jerry and Karen. Grandparents of Canberra do a lot of heavy lifting, and I am so grateful for the wonderful role that they play in our children's lives and, of course, in our lives as well. My passion to make Canberra the best place to live, work and raise a family burns strong. We all have an obligation to do absolutely everything we can to make this place more affordable, especially for those that are doing it tough. When I was elected to the leadership of the Canberra Liberals 4 years ago, I said that Canberra was at risk of becoming a two-paced society. One pace where people can keep up with the cost of living, and another that is increasingly falling behind. That threat remains very, very real, and it is incumbent upon the next government of the ACT to do much more to support those in this city who can't afford rent, can't afford to buy a home, are living in poverty or are doing it tough. Tonight, I thank the tens of thousands of people that voted Liberal. I know to be a Liberal in Canberra is not easy. I thank you all for flying the flag. I thank you all for the confidence, optimism and positivity that you've given this campaign. I joined this party 20 years ago. It is a party for the forgotten people. It's a party that represents the broad spectrum of people in this city. We are a diverse party, and our candidates reflect that. We have to continue to do all we can to make sure that we represent a continually diverse Canberra. Our campaign was true to our values. It was positive. We advocated to empower people. We advocated to empower families. We advocated to empower communities. We must continue to do all that we can to make Canberra the best place to live, work and raise a family. It has been an honour to be the leader of the Canberra Liberals. It is the greatest honour of my life. I thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I wish the Canberra Liberals all the very best over the years ahead. I look forward to being part of that journey, and I look forward to doing everything we can to hold this government to account. Thank you.
Gracious in defeat, Alistair Coe, I've got to say, a very fine speech there from the opposition leader. Not the night he'd hoped for, a swing away from the Liberals. A night for incumbents really was the message from him amid a pandemic, off the back of the fires. The message is that basically people are valuing incumbents right now, including Jacinda Ardern across the ditch, locally the ACT government, and as I say, a fine speech from the Liberal leader. He he congratulated Andrew Barr. He wished him all the very best, Andrew Barr and his husband, thanked his family, supporters. Obviously very, very disappointed. A hint there at the end too that you'd expect him to be possibly moving on from the leadership. Obviously we'll see how the coming days unfold, but certainly no guarantee that the young man will remain in that position. Obviously he's young enough to be able to leave the leadership and return to it at some later point.